The war in Afghanistan is becoming one of the most drawn-out military operations in American history. In July alone, more than 55 soldiers were killed in the deadliest month for US and international forces since the campaign began in 2001. And a day after US President Barack Obama announced an increase in troops, there's been sharp debate on how essential the war is. Well, for more, I'm now joined live by RT's correspondent Aliona Minkowski in Washington. Hello to you, Aliona. Now, the debate hots up over whether the war is worth the effort. What's being said and what reaction can we expect?
That's right, Kerry. The debate is growing because Afghanistan, as we know, is no stranger to conflict. It's even been dubbed the graveyard of empires. So unfortunately, the war that the U.S. is waging there now is nowhere near the first. It's simply the most recent, and it's growing in every way. And the amount of money that the U.S. is putting in, and the number of troops that are being put in, and as well in the negative attitudes that are starting to circle against it. As more troops and more civilians continue to die, both American and Afghani people are simply getting over it. So the debate now is what should and what will the U.S. do? Now, to discuss that with me, I'm joined by Jeff Dressler from the Institute for the Study of War. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Now, my first question to you is, in your opinion, what is it do you think that's going on there? And for lack of better terms, can it really be won, or can the U.S. come out victorious?
Well, there's several different things that are going on. There's several different enemy networks in different parts of the country. Right now in the South is arguably the most active. We just launched, the United States Marines just launched an operation in early July aimed at controlling the Helmand River in Helmand Province, probably the most active area in the region for enemy activity. So far that's going pretty well. There hasn't been a lot of reported enemy contact. We're not quite sure where they went at this point, whether they left or they're digging in. Similarly, to complement that, the British launched an operation around the central Helmand area, kind of designed it going into some of these areas that have been under Taliban control ahead of the elections, which are scheduled to take place on August 20th. There's 10 districts in, 10 areas in Helmand in general that have been deemed totally out of government control. So these operations, particularly in Helmand, are designed to go into some of these areas and gain some control back to allow voting in the August elections.
But do you think that these operations are actually working? I mean, already we're 8 years into this war, and it seems like the Taliban has only gotten stronger. The attacks have only increased. Could this operation in the Helmand region even really help?
Well, that's right. The entire war in Afghanistan is a much larger effort. Right now, what General McChrystal has decided to do is focus on some of the southern provinces that are most active. He was given a very high number of Marines into the region, and he could have sent them anywhere. He decided to send them into Helmand Province, both because of its proximity to Pakistan and because of some of the activity that's taken place there. We haven't had enough forces there over the past 3 or 4 years, so this is designed to go in there and to try to break up some of these Taliban-controlled areas.
But can we go back to, right now, for the moment, the American people, because polls are showing that American people are opposed more and more to this war. And so how can the U.S. really even justify putting more money, putting more soldiers, and risking their lives into Afghanistan? Well, if the people don't support it?
Well, we're still enjoying over 50% support right now. Lately it's shrunk a little bit, but again, General McChrystal has been given 60 days to complete a campaign review, a general assessment of what the region looks like and what is needed where. I would say that two important markers coming up will really decide how things are going to progress there. Number one is the election on August 20th, and the second is going to be how General McChrystal's campaign plan is instituted, and judging by various markers of success, how that's going. I do think that he will be given everything that he needs to conduct the war that is needed, that he deems should be undertaken in the area based on his review.
But what does he say when you say conduct the war that is needed? When these generals make all these plans, do they even get back to the basics of why the U.S. is fighting there in the first place? What's the reasoning behind the war? Is it to fight the Taliban? Is it to liberate women? Is it just to put in more bases, perhaps to keep a closer eye on Iran?
Typically, the area has been a Taliban and an al-Qaeda sanctuary. They've allowed to operate with impunity there, launch attacks both in the UK and in the United States. So this general war in Afghanistan is designed to try to prevent them from being able to operate with impunity in the area, and simultaneously to stand up the Afghan government to gain control over the area enough so that we can step back and let them, gain control of their country. And the elections coming up on August 20th will be a good marker for that.
Unfortunately, 8 years in, it still doesn't seem like much control is being given back to the people, but I guess we will see as it progresses. And the other problem with this enemy that we have to realize with the Taliban is that they don't really need to be in Afghanistan. They're an elusive enemy. They can travel and go from place to place. So who knows where they might go next, should the U.S. even really be in Afghanistan, putting all those lives, putting all this money into it in the first place. Thank you so much for being with us today. And back to you, Moscow. We'll continue to discuss this debate.
Okay, thank you. That was Alina Minkowski live from Washington, D.C.